much. Foremost, I want you to understand that we finance our operations through our own revenues. And when we want to do more, like major infrastructural projects, we borrow. But we borrow from multiple sources. We borrow from some commercial loans, mainly concessional loans. These are provided by multilateral agencies, World Bank, African Development Bank, among others. So what we are doing at the moment is that our debt limit has been quite sustainable. From independence to date, we've never defaulted on a single day on any payment that have fallen due. We have two levels. We have both foreign debts. We also have domestic debts. The foreign debts where we now finance projects, we get from these multilaterals and also syndicated banks. But locally, we sometimes borrow to finance our own operations through the treasury papers. Treasury bonds, both bonds and bills. The difference is that it's just maturity date. But over time, our debt levels are not they are sustainable, but we want to be more proactive by making sure that we retire all the commercial loans. Loans that we are paying at 8% or 9%. Loans that we are supposed to pay within a very short time. That's going to put pressure on our revenue. We want to retire these by making sure that we only embark on the multilateral borrowing. Meaning we borrow today an amount of money, we have a grace period of 10 years or even so, but paid over a long period of time with minimal interest rates. This is not going to strain us, not going to really burden us. It's something that we can afford without actually being under pressure to be making payments not only regularly, but also huge amount. That's exactly what you want to do. The most important that we need to understand that, in the past, we've been expressing our debt ceiling in terms of percentage ratio, where we say our debt ratio should be 50% of GDP, the gross domestic product. But we realize that we want to be more transparent to the Kenyan people because GDP is a moving target. That means if the GDP changes next year, that proportion will also change. If significantly grow, that amount will also grow by significant amount. But we said to make sure that we have discipline in our expenditure, we are working towards a fixed target. Whether 6 billion, whether 6 trillion, whether 8 trillion, whether 9 trillion, we know that we are slowly catching up and the target is ahead of us. When you say fixed amount, fixed figure like that amount, everybody knows. The common man knows that this is our debt ceiling. The businessman will know this is our debt ceiling. The relationship that we also have with our development partners, they will also know that this is our level of indebtedness, and they can freely interact with us and make decisions based on our full disclosure. That is what we want to give to Kenyans. More transparency and making sure that we rein on our own expenditure by being also mindful. But more importantly, you need to understand what we are now trying to do is just give ourselves a target. That does not mean that that we are going to borrow that amount immediately. We are now moving towards, it can take us 10 years to reach that target. But importantly, you need to understand that every year we finance our operation through a budget. You cannot spend any amount of money unless Parliament has appropriated. And within that appropriated budget, we have a host of activities. We are going to spend this amount of money to pay pensions on all matters of consolidated fund services. We are going to pay this amount for recurrent. We are going to have this number of development totaling this amount. And then it will tell us how much are we able to raise locally through our revenue. It will give us this amount. Then we'll say, do we have a shortfall? We want to have an ambitious project of financing development projects to a tune of 700 billion. Do we have the money? Maybe we only have a saving of about 500 billion. Then we have a deficit of 200 billion or so. Then we say, now how do we finance this? That's now when we think of borrowing. And in borrowing, it's only the Parliament that can approve. So what the figure that the target we are setting, does not mean that we are going to borrow that amount. It's only the Parliament that's going to fix the amount that will be borrowing through a presentation of the National Treasury, and we may ask to borrow 300 billion. But the Parliament, in their own wisdom, said no, we are only approving half of that. and we are going to go by that.
Taxation is developed out of very extensive consultations, and so that the tax burden is shared evenly. Taxes are not collected from people who cannot pay. They are collected in accordance with the taxpayers' ability. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the one question, please, then the next person. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And as they are still there, just to can stand leaning as we watch the screen to help us on the countdown. And at the count of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
You seem worried about your debt. Are you worried about your debt? You did speak and say that you'll be paying